Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Faith and Finance Forum hosted by the Catholic Finance Association and presented by Aquinas Wealth Advisors. We have a great show for you today. We have Bill and Alexis Haughey. Am I saying that right? Is your name pronounced Haughey?
Haughey. It's like hee-haw,
Haughey.
but backwards.
Haughey. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. Bill and
Good
Alexis are
Irish.
with us. Yes, indeed. They are co-founders of the Catholic Institute of Technology, an American university with a campus in Italy. And we're going to be getting into the full extent of that exciting initiative in just a few moments. But let's start, as we do everything on the Faith and Finance Forum, with prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost, amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary,
Holy
Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the
Spirit.
hour of our death. Amen. Pope St. John Paul II, pray for us. Father, Son, Holy Ghost, amen. And we're actually coming to you on Fat Tuesday, as some people call it. It's the day before Ash Wednesday, the day before the opening of Lent. We wish all of our listeners on the Faith and Finance Forum a blessed Lent. Make this a time where you dive deeper on your faith, work in sacrifice, work in extra prayer, almsgiving, do all the things you're supposed to do during Lent as we prepare for Holy Week and Easter. So, Bill and Alexis, thanks for making some time today. You folks are so busy. You're doing so many good things in the church. You're very active in so many different things. I appreciate giving us a few minutes of your time. How are you doing today?
Great. We're joining you from a snowy, cold Boston, where we split our time. But it's great to be here, and thank you so much for having us on.
You're welcome. Where do you split your time between? Where else do you live besides Boston?
In Castel Gandolfo, where our campus is opening up in the fall. It's a gorgeous place. I think it's paradise. It's lakeside, next door to the Papal Summer Residence and the Vatican Observatory. It's just truly a blessing to have such a beautiful campus there.
It does sound pretty perfect. So where in Italy is it located? How close is it to, say, the Vatican?
Yeah, so it's there's actually a train that goes directly from Vatican City to right by our campus, funny enough. But we're for a drive, it's about 25 minutes to like downtown Rome, probably like 35 minutes to the northern part where the Vatican is.
And what lake is it on?
Lake Albano. It's a volcanic crater lake.
Crazy.
They used to have Roman naval battle reenactments there, and all the emperors and the popes have been summering there for over 1,000 years, and it's truly just a remarkable place. Besides Catholic Tech being there, I highly recommend you and all your followers stop by.
Well,
Worth the
we
trip.
like we like everyone on this show that uses summer as a verb. So if you ever need to summer in Italy, Bill and Alexis can help you find a great place to do it, it sounds like. So Bill and
Absolutely.
Alexis, tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I'm originally from New York, Long Island. I came up to MIT uh, 15 plus years ago now to do my undergraduate degree there. And I've been more or less in Boston ever since. I did go briefly to Brazil to do a Fulbright degree, but now I'm back at the Sloan School of Management doing my PhD in technology and innovation. And I think that's really the thing that's keeping us tied here in Boston, because otherwise we go live there all year long. It's a beautiful place.
Sure. Tell us a little bit about your PhD. Like, what is your area of focus? What is your research focus? Where are you spending most of your time in terms of your studies?
Yeah, so I would say there are three main things that I focus on in my studies. So the first is scientific research that happens at universities. So that's everything from grants to the research process to technology transfer and things like that. I also study technology commercialization, how startups and big companies take the technology that comes out of the lab and brings it to market. And lastly, most of my time I spend on innovation ecosystems like Silicon Valley, like Kendall Square in Boston. And it's just such a great carryover because that really is what we're looking to do in Castel Gandolfo, to build a hub of Catholic science and engineering.
Wow, so cool. When can we call you doctor?
Maybe like 2 years from now.
It'll fly by, I'm sure. Thank you, Alexis. And Bill,
We won't make you call her doctor, right, John?
okay, fair enough. How about you, Bill? What's your background?
I'm not nearly as impressive as my wife. I'm from Boston originally. I spent some time in the seminary, joined the Marines soon after that. Came back to Boston, went to Boston College, and then site engineering. I'm a civil engineer with a little bit of concentration in electrical, and got into business for myself pretty early on. I'm a serial entrepreneur. We buy and sell mostly in the real estate market, but in construction and public utilities and things like that. So I as an engineer, I love to build. I love to build new enterprises. I like to see things come to fruition. And early on, when we decided that we were going to embark in this incredibly ambitious undertaking and figure that it was possible, we just dove right in. We thought, how better to use the resources that God gave us, but to steward some sort of innovation for our church.
Wow, amazing. Thank you for your service in the Marine Corps. Tell us a little bit about that. What was your job in the Marine Corps?
I blew things up. I was a I was an infantry assaultman, so we slept in a lot of holes. We got to go to some very interesting parts of the world that most people don't necessarily have the opportunity to go to, and I loved it. My company is called Fidelis, which is, as we know, is Latin for faithful, but the Semper Fidelis, the motto of the United States Marines. I'm very proud of my service. I probably wouldn't do it all over again if I had to, right? I'm not telling people to go sleep in a hole, but it was a great opportunity to serve our country, and it made me the man I am today.
The Marine Corps does provide you opportunities to travel for work, right?
It does, of course. Yeah. So I went all over Africa, parts of the Middle East. I actually spent some time in Italy.
Wow.
Never thought we'd be starting a university there when I was there, but it was a great opportunity just to see the heart of the church. And I've always been a practicing Catholic. I love our faith. I was altar boy for two archbishops of Boston,
Mhm.
and that really helped shape me in the as a Catholic. And then having spent time there in the Marines, it was just a great opportunity to see so many locations where the saints have walked, where apostles lived and preached. It only made sense for us to do this here. If we're going to have one technical university for the Catholic Church, we want to have it in the heart of the church.
Yeah, very well said. Is there still a naval base in Naples, Italy? Is that where you were at?
I was in Sigonella, Sicily, which is
Okay.
near Catania.
Mm.
Gorgeous place. You can ski on a volcano there. So if anyone wants to live dangerously, you can do that. Active volcano. And then Naples, absolutely gorgeous place. And then the United States also operates a airborne division in Vicenza, Italy, which is in the north in the Alps. So I got a chance to spend some time at all three places, and we worked
Wow.
extensively with the Italian engineers. It was a great experience.
I'm sure you would agree the Battle of Syracuse, when the Greeks took that island, was one of the great amphibious assaults in history. Some of your predecessors in the Greek Marines
Yeah,
were
and
involved in
then
that.
later on, the Americans participated in those the rich history of amphibious assaults there. Unfortunately, we didn't have Marines there in World War II, but
Indeed.
uh,
No, well said. Well, again, thank you for your service and very, very interesting. You described the Catholic Institute of Technology as with a sense of boldness and a sense of ambition. I think that's certainly true because this is unlike anything I've ever heard of before. This is an American university with a campus in Italy, and it's a true startup. I mean, you guys really just like built this up from scratch, right? Like, tell us the embryonic origin story of this. Like, where did this all start? Walk us through the early steps of this project.
yeah, I'll take a crack at it, and I think Alexis can articulate parts of it better than I can. But um, we're both engineers. We're both incredibly passionate about our faith and incredibly passionate about sharing this. In our industries, Alexis is a mechanical engineer undergraduate, and is a civil engineer. We constantly saw just really a disdain for our faith and technology, right, and innovation. The church has a rich history of scientific and engineering innovation. We've been major players, and it's only recently that we've been pushed out of it. It's for one reason or another, institutional academia, right? right? Kind of the academic revitalization that we saw in the humanities coming out of Vatican II. We just lost a passion for innovation, right, in the sciences. And we saw there was a need, right? No one else is doing this. Of course, we don't want to negate the good work that Georgetown or Boston College or Notre Dame do in engineering, but there is no R1 Catholic research university in the sciences. And R1 means it's a American term we use for the amount of research that a university does, how many PhDs you produce, and the caliber of scientific funding that you get, and then the research that comes out of that. And that we just thought that was a serious issue, right? With the innovation that happens every day, right? The church is often seen as responding to these things in very negative manners. The world perceives us as like as always a prohibition on innovation, and it's just not true. That's how it comes across, because we don't really have a seat at the table, right? The Holy Father will speak on, say, artificial intelligence, and the people in those fields brush it off. They don't take us seriously. So we saw an opportunity, one, to form Catholics in these fields, to evangelize those spaces, but then to produce researchers that can aid the universal church in these conversations.
Yeah, and I think that we look at this as a grander mission than just providing an education to our students. It's also meant to impact the universal church, to show the way that we can integrate our science with our faith every day. We really see scientific truth not only being compatible with religious truth, they're both ways that we come about understanding our Creator. And we don't want to miss out on that opportunity to know God and love God, and to spend every day loving and glorifying Him in our work, in everything that we do. So, to Bill's point, we really just need a seat at the table. We hear so many priests and nuns and consecrated men and women who just say, I try to enter a conversation with a scientist or an engineer or anyone in the tech space, and they just immediately write me off because they see this collar that I'm wearing. And we're just not in a space where we have enough scientists and engineers who are PhDs, who are leaders in their fields, who can speak articulately on these issues, but be seen as peers rather than just the guys coming into the room and telling me what I can and cannot do.
How did this popular? Go ahead, Bill. Yeah.
No, I guess this is the idea, right? Alexis and I have been forming this for years now, and then there's the practical things that happen to make this reality, right? So we actually found our campus on our honeymoon. We were doing a tour with one of the religious brothers at the Vatican Observatory. On our honeymoon, he brought us down there. I had only been in Castel Gandolfo once, I think, and we realized, oh, this is like the historic hub of Catholic scientific innovation. This is where the only scientific funded research by the church has ever been done. So naturally, we fell in love with it. And then we were walking down the street, going back to the train, and steps away from the papal summer residence, we saw a for sale sign on a 300-bedroom college campus. So it had been built by the Orsini family in the 1600s. And then it was purchased by the North American College. Actually, our former Archbishop here in Boston, Cardinal O'Connell, when he was the rector of the North American College, and then our president, Bishop Arthur Kennedy, actually lived there as a seminarian. So in the summers, they would study in Rome, and they would study in Rome in the academic year, and then in the summer they would go down to Castel Gandolfo to continue their studies, but they would just stay there for the course of their degree. And then Opus Dei had bought it in the 1970s and been operating as a retreat center, and it was just the perfect location. We have 5 chapels, 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools, 60 acres of the Roman pines, and it just seemed providential. So once we were able to secure that property, which we did about a year and a half ago, that's when we launched our efforts, right? We started recruiting students, getting the word out there, and it's been truly remarkable, the support we've gotten. Not to mention Bishop Kennedy, the president, right? Finding him who truly understands the mission, but then our STEM faculty we have 4 MIT PhDs joining full time with us next year. One from Stanford, and some other brilliant people just coming from all around the globe.
Yeah,
Very
I
impressive. How were you able to recruit that caliber of faculty to something so new and unproven?
Yeah, that's the fun part.
yeah.
We truly believe that was the Holy Spirit, because we put out a LinkedIn ad a year ago after we got the property, and we had 600 applications overnight for faculty, most coming from places like Harvard, Caltech, MIT, and Stanford, because there's a hunger for this, right? There is people in academia at these top research universities. They see the obstacles Catholics face, and they want to be part of the solution. So a lot of all of our faculty have taken massive pay cuts to come work for us, and uproot their lives to move to Casa Gandolfo because they believe in the mission, and we know that's only from God, not something we could pull off.
Alexis, did you have something to add?
Oh, I was just gonna say, in some ways, there's nothing all that special about us in a certain regard. We've done things that are kind of ordinary as you consider them in our day-to-day life, walking around Castel Gandolfo on our honeymoon, putting on a LinkedIn job ad. So, a lot of the things we did were ordinary, and we always say that it's the Holy Spirit who made them extraordinary, and we fully believe that.
Wow, really well said. You touched on this, Bill, a little bit. This perceived, I guess, tension or opposition between science and the Catholic Church that, in part, your institute is a response to. Why do you think that has emerged? I mean, my survey of history suggests that the church is the great enabler of scientific discovery and certainly the safeguarder and custodian of the world's treasure chest of knowledge. I mean, where would human civilization, where would technology be without the Catholic Church? I mean, how did that get kind of flipped upside down, do you think?
Yeah, it's an incredibly important question. I think to understand it, we should acknowledge, right? So the university structure is based on what the church provided, right? That comes from medieval times. The scientific method was a Catholic friar, right? The first PhD in computer science is a Catholic nun. The Big Bang theory, which we're often accused of not acknowledging, right? Was a diocesan priest. He gave that presentation at Caltech in the early 20th century, and Albert Einstein stood up and applauded and said, this is the most beautiful understanding of the origins of human life, right? That's what we don't talk about. So given all that, how did we get here? Likely it's a secularization of our culture, right? And that happened in every industry, but so prevalently in the sciences and technology and engineering. So to restore our church and evangelize these spaces, we have to start where we're least seen, where we're not represented. And I think Catholic Tech is going to do a great job in that, and we're excited just to be part of it.
We
And
really are
yeah, go.
trying to train the best and brightest.
Mm.
And, there's something to be said to providing a STEM education, but there's something else that's equally important in that giving a philosophical and theological formation to our students really is what enables them not only to be Catholic in these spaces, but to really go out and evangelize them and share the faith in a way that they wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
You mentioned the velocity of responses to the posting of the faculty job openings at your Catholic Institute of Technology. What about recruiting students to participate in the opening classes? How's that going?
We thought we died and went to heaven. We hadn't even opened the application portal, and we were getting emails every day about people trying to be part of the inaugural class. Right now, so next year we have a cap on 50 students. That is to help us form the charism and the structure and make sure everyone there kind of understands the mission and to get everyone engaged in that. Right now we're somewhere in the like hard applicants that want to come next year, somewhere around 60 applicants. That being said, we probably get 1 to 3 new ones every day. In our application portal, we only started accepting students a month ago. So I think we're in a really good place. And obviously we just want to keep recruiting. We want the best and the brightest and people that are really passionate about their faith and truly passionate about changing.
So cool. And the profile of the incoming class, mostly Americans, mostly traditional college age. I mean, tell us a little bit about who's applying.
Yeah, so right now it's about 50-50 on traditional college students and what we're calling a program called the Cardinal Newman Fellows. So those are students that have gone to a Newman Guide college, such as Ave Maria, Christendom, Thomas Aquinas, Thomas More, and we have a pretty steady representation from all the Newman Guide schools. So that's an accelerated second bachelor's degree. So if they graduate with a liberal arts degree and then want to get into engineering or the sciences, they can come to us tuition free, and it's like a work study program. So they work in emissions and development and IT, and they'll be able to do their degree in 3 years. So part of what we wanted to do first and foremost was not to be a competition to any other Catholic institution. We wanted to be an asset to the universal church as a whole, but just to build off what the church has already done so well, right? The classical education. And that's, we work very closely with Jeremy Tate at the CLT, the Classic Learning Test. He's a board member. And right, like a scientific education done right is never an indictment of the classical education. That is what makes our church so rich, right? So all of our students will graduate with a minor in philosophy and theology. And then to answer your question, mostly coming from America, but we do have some international representation. So we have a handful of Italians, some African students, some Canadians, some Latin American students as well.
And is that the
Yeah.
vision for it to be like an international school that draws from the world and sends scholars back out into the world? Is that kind of where you think this is going?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the US and our academic system is the international standard now.
Sure.
That was part of why we went with an American accreditation or pursuing American accreditation. But also, this is where scientific research comes out of, right? So, American research grants are granted to international universities around the world, right? So we wanted to make sure that we built on what the US does very well, but make that available to the universal church in the truest sense of the word, the international community.
Alexis, thoughts?
Yeah, I think that one of the places where we would love to see our graduates go is some of them back to the United States, but I hope that a lot of them will stay in Rome, at least for a period of time, enter religious vocations through the people that they meet there, and stay on to get ethics degrees or theology degrees at the pontifical universities, because the formation that we're providing to them not only prepares them to go and be scientists and engineers, but it prepares them to be well-formed people who can impact the world and the church.
Wow, beautiful. What degrees are you offering at this time?
So next year we have 5 majors available. So civil engineering, mechanical, electrical, and computer science, biology, and biomedical engineering. I might have missed one, but yeah, I think that's all of them. And actually, we're rolling out more majors every year, right? That was to make sure that our students get very tangible jobs upon graduation. We want to make sure that we're setting them up for success. So some of the purer sciences like physics or astrophysics, chemistry, those have later launch year dates, and those over the course of 10 years we'll have about 12 majors we offer.
So no American studies, huh?
No, not yet. John, you can teach it if you like.
No, that what I mean is these are serious courses. I mean, these are for people that really want to get into the hard classical disciplines. These are challenging fields of study. Certainly commiserate with your ambitious vision of having people go out ready to make a real impact and through an education infused by the faith. But again, on these hard disciplines, people that want to really get a serious education. I think it's a great thing. So how does this contrast with some of the other entrepreneurship you've done? I mean, you all have both been in business. You've been around successful companies at every stage. How does this compare with some of the other projects you've been involved with?
Nonprofits are hard, right? You're asking people to buy into a vision, and I think what we had to realize early on was that this is bigger than Alexis and I, or Bishop Kennedy, or any of our faculty members. We asked people to just to buy the vision that we need this. Our church needs this. If it doesn't happen now, when? Right? We were kind of taken aback that it didn't already exist. So getting the word out has been hard. It's donors are a lot different than investors, as I now know. It's they get the intangible goods of their investment, right? The sense of being part of something bigger than ourselves. But yeah, we've done very well with very successful entrepreneurs around the country because they see it's not necessarily a school model, right? So the research that we do, how we can commercialize that can be very good for the church, right? Financially speaking, and from an academic point of view. So we do ask people to look at this as investors, right? Investors in their church.
Yeah. We're both definitely have that entrepreneurial type mindset. We're kind of both built in a way that we like to go out there and build organizations and take market opportunities and look at everything in the world as an opportunity to do something great and something kind of audacious. So to the point that people often hear about the university and how grand the ambition is of it. And it's almost hard to conceptualize. I think we've had a lot of success when we've been able to get people out to our campus just because it's so tangible and real in a way that a lot of times people even struggle to conceptualize.
Yeah. Boston College started with 5 priests and 3 students.
Yeah.
Now they have they're a Goliath on the Catholic education in the Catholic education marketplace, right? We have to start small, and that we have 50 students. We have this gorgeous campus, but we're to grow the business model, we have to think like business people, and we have to really we have to just keep pushing. We have to get people to buy into the vision, but to kind of put our money where our mouth is. Alexis and I have certainly done that, and we just ask people to keep supporting the mission.
Yeah, well said. So how you mentioned earlier that it's going to be American university and the American accreditation standards are respected around the world, which makes sense to me. However, higher education in America is under intense criticism right now, and I would say some of that criticism is quite fair uh, around return on investment, around the exploding costs of higher education, some of the stuff that's being taught in American schools, some of the culture that a student is going to encounter there. I mean, this is really a lot of the fuel behind the formation and the growth of the Newman List schools that you referenced earlier in this conversation so positively. I guess how do you, as founders of a new Catholic university, how do you bring in the positive elements of the American higher education tradition while perhaps avoiding some of these adverse or negative things that are going on right now that everybody is concerned about?
Yeah. Well, I think by the nature of a new university, right, the nature of any startup, you have the liberty to cut out a lot of the red tape, a lot of the bureaucracy that just doesn't need to be there. Like you said, the Newman Guide School, we are going for candidacy as a Newman school. 100% of our faculty is Catholic, practicing Catholic, signed oath of fidelity. That goes as well for our board members and even our staff. We've had actually 3 converts on the staff just so they can come work for us. And we're just trying to bake that into like the marrow of the university, right?
Yes.
To make sure it's unshakably Catholic. Right from the start, Bishop Arthur Kennedy is a brilliant academic, but a very pious and holy man. And I think, he's done an amazing job shaping the humanities. All of our humanities faculty are priests and religious or consecrated. And that's just something that was imperative to do, because who needs another research university if it's not Catholic, right? If this isn't going to change the culture, there wasn't really a need for it.
And we're very proud of the Newman Fellows program because the culture at the schools on the Newman Guide are the best that you're going to find in higher education.
Yep.
So taking such faithful, well-formed Catholics and transplanting them at our university, I think is the best shot that we have at making an authentically Catholic culture for our traditional students to come into. And one of the other great things about being a research university in terms of cost is research universities are able to subsidize some of the costs of their operations off of research grants, which means both lower costs for our students and more opportunities for them, but also that some of the overhead costs won't be so reliant on philanthropy to keep it going.
We'd love to build an endowment in 20 years that doesn't even have a tuition model, right? You do see that in some of the premier, New York, NYU Medical.
Yes.
NYU Medical doesn't charge tuition, right?
Yeah.
As the church, we would love, as a Catholic institution, we would love this to be available to everyone. We have very generous scholarships right now. We have to make sure this is a sound business model, but really long term, this as an international universal organization, we'd love that not to be a barrier to entry.
Yeah, I love it. Having dabbled a little bit in higher education myself earlier in my career, I know a little bit about these dynamics you're talking about, and I wanted to get your take on this. One of the tensions that I've seen, interacting with that space is that, so on the one hand, you have to fund your university. You got to pay salaries, you got to pay rent. You got to do all the things you have to do in business. But at the same time, you want to maintain super high standards, both in terms of academic background and potential to succeed in your chosen discipline, and also commitment to the mission, which is an added layer in a Catholic university, a challenge that perhaps they don't see as much in public education. So how do you plan to, I guess, feather that balance between the business objectives of this nonprofit that you've started, while maintaining the very high academic standards that I'm sure you insist upon your students, and also the mission fit that's so critical to accomplish your mission?
Yeah. No, it's something we had to figure out very early on, and I think the answer is research. We have a research ethics committee. So some of the premier theologians and philosophers from Rome. So Father Paolo is a Franciscan priest, teaches at the Gregorian. He's Pope Francis's personal advisor on artificial intelligence right now. And Father Philip Larrey, also a brilliant theologian. Now he's here at Boston College, but he was at the Lateran University for years, and several others. We're going after commercial research to help fund to pay for faculty salaries, and this is where our faculty is coming from, this world. So they understand this. They understand the importance to be able to support their own research and their own career growth. That's going to be a huge player in our success, right? That way we can be highly selective on students just to make sure they fit the charism, but also very generous to students that wouldn't be able to attend otherwise. That is right now we're struggling to make sure that people don't think of Catholicism as a slur, right? In academia, it can be used that way. So we're going after talking to big tech firms, and some of those are like the top four we have here in the United States. We have to have that conversation. We're not willing to compromise on the Catholic aspect of what we do, and it shouldn't be. It should never be an issue, right? If these are ethical companies that want to conduct research, we can do it just as well as any secular university. But we just have to change the narrative. And the longer we exist, the more philanthropy that we have to be able to support our mission, we're going to be able to do that. It's just going to be a hard road, but we're up for the fight.
Always are.
Anything to add to that, Alexis? That was well said, Bill.
Yeah, so a couple of things that I think will keep our standards very high is just academically, we've committed ourselves to more or less staying a STEM research university that also has a strong formation in philosophy and theology. You can't do everything well, and our charism is really based on doing those two things well. Creating the brightest STEM scholars and giving a formation in philosophy and theology. The other thing that's absolutely wonderful about our location in Rome is the fact that we really are able to pull on the best and brightest from all of the pontifical universities, philosophers, ethicists, and theologians who maybe wouldn't come all the way to an American university, but are able to continue their position at a top pontifical university and still come to join us.
What's been the response from the Catholic ecosystem here in the United States and abroad, particularly in Italy and Europe, to your initiative? Has everyone been supportive and been kind of cheering you on?
Yeah, to an extent. Very early, we had a lot of conversations like Catholics and science. We don't do that. And I was like, yeah, it's wrong. And that just, it's you can't blame the individual necessarily for believing that just because it hasn't been in our world in quite a while. But as like the more we were able to educate people on kind of the history of the church has in these fields, we had a great response. And obviously, we do have major players in these fields still. We have the Vatican Observatory. Brother Guy is an MIT alum. We have Father Robert Spitzer, who's an astrophysicist. We have brilliant Catholics in these spaces right now. It's just making the world aware of it.
Yeah, we really do consider this to be a project of, the global church, Catholic in the other sense of the word. We have Franciscans and Benedictines and Jesuits who have all come together to make this work. Opus Dei has been a really big part of that, and I think that that's been such a big contributor to our success because we really do want to open this to everyone, any Catholic who wants to pursue this.
What's your attitude towards government funding, be it from the United States government or perhaps a government in Europe?
We are realistic that the majority of scientific research funding comes from governments around the world, primarily here in the United States. That being said, our research ethics committee is involved in every single decision before we embark to take any money, right? We need to make sure it adheres to the magisterium of the church, and that things that we're going to be producing won't be put in the wrong hands. And that was, that's what you need to do, right? We just need to build an infrastructure that could be able to give it the oversight and make sure that, long after we're not involved, this is still Catholic and it still is a mess.
You guys are a young couple and you both had a lot of success and you've done some good things. You built up, you have great educations. You could offer a lot to the private sector. I mean, you guys, why not just spend your time, having fun, golfing, get a boat, travel? I mean, why do this instead of some of the things a lot of other young couples do?
Don't get us wrong, it crosses our mind every so often. I think we just were put in the right place at the right time, and we're young enough to do this, right? We're ambitious enough to do it, and we have the energy for it. You know, it's stressful, it's a lot of work. We've come incredibly long way to get to where we are to be able to open the fall. Um, and I think the two options where we were going to get the ski house and a boat, or put everything on red in this, and I think we made the right decision. We want to be good Southern daughters of the church. It's done everything for us. We have to give it back to God.
Well, and let's dive into that a little bit. Regarding your personal faith, have you always been strong Catholics? Tell us a little bit about your journey in terms of your faith.
Yeah, you could tell yours. It's adorable.
So I wasn't actually raised Catholic. I had gone to a Catholic parochial school here in Boston, because at the time they were more or less free, and the Boston public schools weren't very good. So my family was like once or twice a year congregationalists growing up, if that. And I was in first grade. We were getting ready for for first communion, and one of the nuns walks around and says, "Oh, raise your hand if you're baptized here or there, or this parish or that." And I didn't raise my hand. They're like, "William, you didn't raise your hand." I was like, "Sister, I don't think I'm baptized." I'm like, "What?" They brought me in the principal's office. They called my dad, and they're like, "Mr. Haughey, your son said he's not baptized." And my dad's originally from Ireland, but he has a thick Boston accent now. He's like, "Yeah, sister, I don't think we ever really got around to it." And she was like, "Well, do you mind if we had him baptized Catholic?" And then my dad's response, I'll never forget, is, "Yeah, as long as it doesn't cost nothing." And that day they brought me up at lunch to the parish and had me baptize. My first grade teacher and my principal, both sisters of Notre Dame, were my godparents. And I remember getting back to class and I said, "Sister, why was it important that I become a Catholic?" And she said, "Because God loves you and I wanted you to have a chance to love him." And that always stuck with me. And I fell in love with our faith there at first grade. Um, and then they needed altar boys for the archbishop, so I got shipped around for that. But that's just my side of things there.
Bill's spiel is so much better than mine. I wish I had gone first, honestly. So I was from a Catholic family. They were more culturally Catholic, I would say, than really deep practicers of the faith. Sometimes it felt like, we were trying to be good Catholics, but we were just going through the motions, more or less. And I was definitely always the one in my family that you could see that it was somehow deeper for me. I understood that, you know, our faith is about loving God with everything that you have. And I think more or less my whole life, ebbs and flows, but I've felt that I had to do whatever I could to follow God and to love him more deeply. And I think Bill has always felt that way, same way too. We're all about loving God to the fullness that we can. And you can see a light in him for it.
Well, I think most importantly too, how we discovered our vocation. I met a beautiful, brilliant MIT girl at a friend's birthday party that was a Catholic, and I coerced her into teaching high school confirmation with me, and she fell for it. And then the rest was history.
Yeah, but we absolutely
Great strategy, Gunny. I like that.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
good
yeah. I recommend it. Anyone that's listening, it works.
we absolutely are each other's vocations. And there are so many little ways that we could never do something like this without each other. The little things that I have my gift and talents complement his so well. And it's a really beautiful thing that God made us for each other so that we could do something great for him.
Wow, that's so nice, Alexis. I love that. So let me ask you all about your interaction with the secular scientific community. I mean, is there a way for, people like the two of you, who are scientists but also devout Catholics to interact, in a positive and constructive way with the majority of the global scientific community that tends to be secular and tends to believe in practices that the Catholic Church would consider immoral and objectionable. How can we all work together for the advancement of science and the uplift of humanity when we don't agree on a lot sometimes? What do you think about that?
I'll start with saying that especially MIT has been incredibly supportive of what we're doing. There are good Catholics at tons of these universities, and there are non-Catholics there too that are still supportive of what we're doing. We're trying to do a quantum computing seminar in the winter. He was at Oxford and now he's at NASA. He's not Catholic, but he is in love with the possibilities that this can do to create morally grounded people. We've had a lot of support. I think it's almost rare that people would say, "Oh, this is ridiculous. You don't need this." I think the institutional academia sees the need for it, but isn't in a place to do it. And being able to separate a Catholic working at, say, MIT or Caltech or Stanford, and to give them a community is going to make the world a difference.
Yeah, I think one of the most effective things that you can do is just like show the light of Christ in your love, in your affect, in the way that you go about your day with joy. Because those are the kind of things where, oh, people are interested in what that is. People want to be your friend, people want to know more about what it is that brings you so much joy. I find that often the first conversations you have with people aren't about the ins and outs of the faith or particular ethical issues. It's about loving and caring for them as a person first, and then using that to teach them about the morals and the teachings of the church.
In my own experience with entrepreneurship, the first steps aren't necessarily the hardest. Those are the ones that require, boldness and courage, which the two of you clearly have in abundance. It's sometimes the second and third steps that are the hardest. Once you have the plan in place, once you have a few people excited and inspired around the vision, it's actually kind of like that second phase where I find that, can be the trickiest. That's kind of where you guys are at now. I mean, your concept is proven. You have property, you have a faculty, you have students signing up. This thing's in motion now. It's going to happen. How are you organizing this phase of the project, I guess? Like for instance, how can one of our listeners who is hearing this and excited about it and likes the two of you, how can they be involved and be a part of this exciting project?
Yeah. And well, forgive the expression, but I think you hit the nail right on the head. The devil is in the details.
Yes.
We're opening come hell or high water. We have amazing faculty, wonderful students, that gorgeous campus. But there's a lot of little things that we want to be able to provide our students and our faculty to make it a truly impactful experience. And it's all about fun. It's about capital available. People can make a donation on our website online. We have a crowdfunding campaign that just went out, so people can kind of join a founders circle where it's a $200 gift or $1,000 gift, and get your name enshrined as a founder in the university lobby. Other than that, please reach out to us, info@catholic.tech. The domain name is catholic.tech. I love our domain name. I think it's very, very clever. And we just want people that are excited about this and want to make a difference. Just reach out to us. We're going to find something for you to do. As the
Very
Marines
cool.
say, we're only looking for a few good men, right?
No, I love it.
Let's get everyone on board.
And you all are a 501(c)(3), donations are tax deductible in the United States. Okay. That's
We
good.
have a foundation here based in Cambridge. So American donors are encouraged to make a donation to Catholic Technology Foundation. All that information is on the website.
How do you plan to preserve this founding culture and energy that you've created, and especially the Catholic mission? Because I mean, obviously the founding group is all on board. You've personally vetted everyone. You've recruited a lot of them. I mean, you can vouch for their character and their Catholicity. How are you gonna maintain that into the future? Like what structures have you put in place on the board level or the committee level, or however you're organizing it to maintain that mission focus in the years to come?
Yeah. Well, like much like the entrepreneurial attitude and the that is so prevalent in the American culture, we took a note out of our founding fathers, right? Puts a lot of checks and balances in here. We have a chancellor that is in charge of the business side of things, right? To make sure that we're running a profitable operation. That and also our president, who is a member of the clergy or the religious, that is committed to maintaining the identity. And there's a lot of different other things at play there. I think the Newman Guide, by its nature, is going to help support uh, maintaining our Catholic identity for a long time to come.
Little other things like we require a third of our board members to be priests or other religious.
Hmm.
And, you know, we're putting in place, we hope, institutional structures that will maintain the vision and maintain the Catholic identity, especially as quickly as we hope to grow. We don't want that to be diluted.
In terms of student life, what liturgical or sacramental offerings will a student encounter, when she hits the deck in Castle Gandolfo?
I think we have like a 6-to-1 priest ratio right now. So we're gonna have morning prayer available at the students will lead, followed by breakfast, but noon mass, vespers, evening prayer, and then we're gonna have tons of pilgrimage opportunities. We're like a stone's throw away from the heart of the church, but also throughout Europe and the Holy Land. We're gonna have I think we're looking to enable students to be able to create design some great student groups as well. And I think the sky's the limits there. We've already had a lot of students reaching out about forming a club or an organization so they can go on trips or work together. So
Yeah. At least as of right now, we'll see how we grow. But each of our students also have a spiritual director who they'll work with at least once a quarter to make sure that their spiritual formation grows as much as their academic formation, because we really do believe in them as full humans and hopefully one day saints.
oh, we're on a
Sounds very
finance
thorough. Yeah.
podcast too. Being on a finance podcast, I should mention we'll have a golf team. We're next to a gorgeous golf course next door, the Castle Godolpho Golf Club. Highly recommend investigating that if you're in town.
What's the golf course called again?
Castel Gandolfo Golf Club.
It sounds like a winner. I really like that idea a lot. So, quickly, a couple of notes on some of the folks you brought in on this. Board members, faculty members. Just give us the rundown on one or two people that you're really proud to have involved in this. Whoever you think is worth mentioning right now.
Yeah, of course. Two newest additions would be Alessandro DeSanto,
Nice.
co-founder of Haughey. Really brilliant guy, truly understands our vision. He's been incredibly supportive, and we want to congratulate him on the very successful Super Bowl ad that went out on Sunday. So big win for the Chiefs and for Haughey. And then Jeremy Tate from Classic Learning Tasks. He's been incredibly passionate about what we're doing. He'll be there in March at our inaugural open house with a couple of his supporters, and we're super excited to have him on board. We have Father Eric Caden, I think is a mutual friend of ours, of the Archdiocese of Boston. He's the director of vocations, but also of campus ministry for the Archdiocese. They oversee 200 colleges and universities in Boston, and that all comes up to him. So he's been incredibly helpful in architecting our campus ministry.
Yeah, we could say a couple of things about our STEM faculty. I don't know who exactly to list off because they're all so fantastic. I will start with Jeff Kleck, who is our Dean of Academics. He's right now at Stanford University and has been instrumental in building up commercial partnerships and building the curriculum and everything like that. Kevin Greenman and Victor Luchego are two fantastic hires from MIT. I think absolutely amazing to see people coming over from MIT to do that.
So I just
And
want to make sure that our audience understands this. These scholars left Stanford, left MIT to come to the Catholic Institute of Technology. I'm hearing that right,
I know
right?
no one believes us.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, yeah. Our faculty's listed on our website, and they're more than happy to reach. If you reach out to them, you can talk to them and talk about our mission, why they're passionate about it. Rodrigo is a Brazilian academic. He does PhD here in the U.S. Probably one of the most cited astrophysicists right now, and he's picking up and moving there. And we've just been incredibly blessed. And then, of course, Bishop Kennedy was a bishop of the Holy Mother Church, and probably one of the most experienced academic bishops in the U.S. right now. And he is moving there to run this university. And he should have a special note here. We would not have made it this far without him, and we're incredibly grateful for his leadership and spiritual guidance.
Give us a peek into what your life is like right now at the onset of this, really exciting global initiative. And I think this is something that might last into posterity, for, the faculty and the alumni of your institute in the future. I mean, what's a typical day like for you guys as you continue to build this thing? I mean, just give us a peek into that if you could.
I think we work on pretty much every time zone in the world right now. So our phone starts ringing or we're getting emails in very early in the morning, and then that goes well into the evening. But we do find time. We make a point. We start our day with a rosary, and we go to evening mass here in Cambridge. Because if we didn't, we would probably lose our minds. Uh, but we stay very busy. I have my business that I'm running full time as well. But Catholic Tech has grown in such a remarkable way that it's much bigger than Alexis and I. We're kept abreast on pretty much all the decisions alongside with Bishop Kennedy. But we have some phenomenal faculty, but our staff too has just made remarkable inroads. I joined Madeline Conover should get a shout out. Madeline, we hired, was assistant director at Hillsdale for admissions. She's our director of admissions, and she absolutely designed that program from nothing. We're on College Board. We got CLT through them. We're getting applicants from every corner of the country. She traveled, probably for about a month and a half straight, knocking on doors and meeting high schools and college counselors. And it's been a blessing.
yeah.
Wow. Go ahead, Alexis.
Oh, I was just gonna say, thank goodness for our daily rosary and mass. Otherwise, we would wake up in the morning, start working, and then
Never stop.
stop working at about 10 p.m. But it's incredibly fruitful work, and it's just so fulfilling that there's a levity to it, and especially getting the opportunity to work together. If it was any other full-time job that I was working while doing my PhD, it would be absolutely
This is the first business partner I've enjoyed working with. I'll say that. The other ones
No,
won't take it personally.
no offense to the old ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Oh my gosh. Guys, this has been so great. We're close to the end of our time here. Any final thoughts or highlights you want to share with the audience before we sign off here?
Definitely, I invite everyone to explore our website, Catholic.tech. We're working with Longbeard, a Canadian-based Catholic marketing firm that did a phenomenal job. They do software as a service now for a lot of different Catholic clients. Our missions portal is up and running. Tell your friends and family about that, and please do seriously consider making a financial gift to support the mission.
Alexis, any final thoughts?
He said it all so wonderfully. I'll let that be the send off.
Okay, very good. Well, listen, I just I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for taking this on. You could have done a lot of other things with your time and your money, but instead you've chosen to do this, and it is something great. It's something that's needed. It's something the world is crying out for. I am just so proud and impressed with you guys, and I know you're going to be wildly successful at this. We're just at the beginning, and the best is yet to come. So Godspeed to you both. We've been on with Bill and Alexis Haughey, the founders of the Catholic Institute of Technology and American University in Castel Gandolfo, Italy, welcoming its first class coming up, and very, very exciting project. I encourage you to visit online, reach out to Bill and Alexis, see how you can get involved. This has been the Faith and Finance Forum, hosted by the Catholic Finance Association and presented by Aquinas Wealth Advisors. God bless. Thanks.